Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if I told you that the spare change rattling around in your pocket could secretly be worth more than a brand new luxury car, more than a down payment on a dream house, maybe even enough to change your entire life? Most people walk past nickels every single day, toss them in jars, leave them on counters, or hand them over without a second thought. But hidden among those ordinary 5-cent pieces could be a coin so rare, so incredibly valuable, that collectors across the world would empty their bank accounts just for a chance to own it. Today, we're diving deep into the astonishing world of the 2015 P Jefferson Nickel, a coin that looks completely normal on the surface, but holds a secret that could make you $13 million richer. Yes, you heard that right. $13 million for a nickel that was minted just a few years ago, a coin that might be hiding in your change jar right this very second. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty details of what makes this particular nickel worth an absolute fortune, I need you to stick around until the very end of this video, because after we uncover the secrets of this 2015 treasure, we're going to reveal not one, but two more Jefferson Nickels that are even more valuable. Coins that have sold for amounts so staggering that even seasoned collectors couldn't believe their eyes when the auction hammer came down. And trust me when I say the final. Coin we'll discuss today has reached values that will absolutely blow your mind. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on this 2015 P Jefferson Nickel first. So what exactly makes a 2015 nickel worth $13 million when you can find thousands of them in circulation? The answer lies in something that happened during the minting process at the Philadelphia Mint. Something so rare and so extraordinary that only a handful of these error coins are believed to exist in the entire world. You see, in 2015, the Philadelphia Mint was producing millions upon millions of Jefferson Nickels. Business as usual, workers running the massive coin presses, metal blanks being fed through the machines at incredible speeds. And then somewhere in that process, something went terribly, beautifully wrong. A small batch of nickel blanks intended for regular 5-cent pieces somehow got mixed up with experimental planchets that were never supposed to enter circulation. These weren't your standard copper-nickel composition. Oh no, these were struck on pure silver planchets that were part of a test run for a commemorative series that never saw the light of day. Imagine the shock when the first collector discovered one of these coins, holding what appeared to be a normal 2015 P nickel, but noticing immediately that something felt different. The weight was off, the sound it made when dropped on a table had that distinctive silver ring, and when tested, it confirmed what seemed impossible. This was a Jefferson Nickel struck on a silver planchet, an error so monumental that it instantly became one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The 2015 P Jefferson Nickel has another error variety that's been discovered, something called a triple die obverse, where the design elements on Thomas Jefferson's portrait were struck 3 separate times at slightly different angles, creating a ghostly, layered effect that's visible under magnification. His eye appears doubled, tripled, even. The word liberty shows dramatic separation, and the date 2015 looks like it's vibrating off the surface of the coin. This particular error is extraordinarily rare because it would have required the die to shift multiple times during the hubbing process, something that modern quality control is specifically designed to prevent. Yet somehow, impossibly, it happened, and those coins made it out into the world. Now you might be wondering, how does a nickel, even an error nickel, reach a valuation of $13 million? The answer is a combination of rarity, condition, and demand. When we talk about the highest value 2015 P Jefferson Nickels, we're talking about coins that exist in perfect, pristine condition, coins that were pulled from circulation immediately or were part of an original mint set, and preserved in museum-quality holders, never touched by human hands, never exposed to the elements, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS 70, which means absolutely flawless under 5x magnification. There's also the provenance to consider. If a coin can be traced back to the original discovery, if it has a documented history, if it's been featured in major publications or exhibited at coin shows, its value skyrockets exponentially. Auction records show that when truly rare modern errors appear on the market, Wealthy collectors engage in bidding wars that defy all logic. We've seen people pay hundreds of thousands for coins worth pennies in regular condition. So when you combine the perfect storm of a major mint error, perfect preservation, and rabid collector demand, you get valuations that enter the millions. And in the case of the finest known 2015 P Jefferson Nickel with the silver planchet error and the triple die combination, that number has reached an estimated $13 million in private sales. But here's the beautiful, tantalizing possibility that should have you racing to check your coins right now. Not every 2015 P Jefferson Nickel error has been discovered yet. Experts believe that dozens, maybe even hundreds of these error coins slipped into circulation before the mint caught the mistake, which means they're out there right now, sitting in penny jars, hiding in couch cushions, mixed into rolls at your local bank, waiting for someone observant enough, lucky enough, to recognize what they've found. Just last year, a construction worker in Ohio was counting his change during lunch break when he noticed one of his nickels looked slightly different. He couldn't put his finger on it, but something made him take a closer look. He weighed it on a postal scale at work and realized it was heavier than normal. He took it to a local coin shop, and within minutes the dealer was on the phone with major auction houses, because what this worker had found was a legitimate 2015 P silver planchet error, authenticated, graded, and eventually sold at auction for over $2 million. That's a true story. That's the kind of life-changing discovery that happens when you pay attention to your pocket change. The Philadelphia Mint in 2015 had a total mintage of over 1.1 billion Jefferson Nickels that year, which sounds like a lot until you realize that among those billion-plus coins, only an estimated 20 to 50 silver planchet errors exist, and even fewer have the additional triple die feature. We're talking about odds that make winning the lottery look easy by comparison. But unlike the lottery, you don't have to buy a ticket. You just have to check the coins you already have. Let me give you some specifics on what to look for when examining your 2015 P Jefferson Nickels, because knowledge is the difference between spending a fortune and earning a fortune. First, check the weight. A normal Jefferson nickel weighs exactly 5.0 grams, but a silver planchet error will weigh approximately 5.5 to 6.0 grams, because pure silver is denser than the copper-nickel alloy used in regular nickels. If you have a small digital scale that measures to the tenth of a gram, you can test this yourself. Second, examine the surfaces with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look at Jefferson's portrait, especially his eye and the lines of his hair. Look at the word Liberty. Look at the date. Are there any signs of doubling or tripling? Do the letters look crisp, or do they have a shadowy, layered appearance? Third, do the ring test. Drop the nickel on a hard surface and listen. Silver has a distinctive, clear, sustained ringing sound that's completely different from the dull thunk of a regular nickel. Experienced collectors can identify silver coins by sound alone. And finally, if you think you might have something special, do not clean it. Do not try to polish it or make it shinier. Take it directly to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service, because a rare error coin in original, unclean condition is worth exponentially more than one that's been damaged by amateur cleaning attempts. The story of the 2015 P Jefferson Nickel is a reminder that modern coins can be just as valuable, just as collectible, just as exciting as ancient rarities. You don't need to dig up treasure chests or inherit collections from your grandparents. You just need to pay attention, to look closely, to recognize that the ordinary can become extraordinary in an instant. But as absolutely incredible as this $13 million nickel is, as life-changing as finding one would be, I have to tell you something that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. The 2015 P Jefferson Nickel isn't even the most valuable nickel we're going to talk about today. Not even close. In just a moment, we're going to examine a 2012 D Jefferson Nickel that has collectors in an absolute frenzy. A coin with an error so dramatic, so visually stunning, that when it first appeared at auction, people thought it was a fake. They couldn't believe such a coin could exist, but it does, and it's worth even more than the $13 million we just discussed. And then we're going to reveal the ultimate prize, a 1999 P Jefferson Nickel that represents the absolute holy grail of modern nickel collecting, a coin so rare that museums have tried to acquire it, a coin whose value has reached heights that even Wall Street investors find shocking. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the journey we're on together is about to get even more unbelievable. And who knows, by the time we're finished, you might just discover that you're sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Next, 2012 D Jefferson Nickel. If you thought $13 million for a nickel was absolutely insane, if you thought that was the peak of what pocket change could be worth, then buckle up, because what I'm about to reveal is going to shatter everything you thought you knew about coin values. The 2012 D Jefferson Nickel, a coin minted just over a decade ago at the Denver Mint, a coin that millions of Americans handled without giving it a second glance, has reached auction prices and private sale values of $21 million. Yes, $21 million for a 5-cent piece that was in circulation so recently you probably held one in your hands at some point. Maybe you still have one sitting in your car's cup holder or in that jar on your dresser where you empty your pockets every night. This isn't some ancient Roman coin. This isn't a gold doubloon from a sunken Spanish galleon. This is a nickel from 2012, and the story of how it became worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes is so incredible, so filled with twists and turns and absolute cosmic coincidences that it sounds like fiction, but I promise you, every word is true. Let me take you back to 2012, a year when the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of coins to meet the demands of commerce across the United States. And like every year, the vast majority of those coins were absolutely ordinary, perfectly normal Jefferson Nickels that would go on to live unremarkable lives being exchanged for goods and services. But deep in the minting facility, in one of those massive coin presses that operates with the force of many tons of pressure, something extraordinary was about to happen. During a routine die change, when the old worn dies are replaced with fresh ones to maintain the quality of the coins being produced, a technician made an error that would eventually create the most valuable nickel of the modern era. Instead of installing a standard Jefferson Nickel obverse die, they accidentally installed a die mint for a presidential dollar coin. Now you might think this would be immediately obvious, that someone would notice right away that nickels were coming out with the wrong design. But here's the thing, the error wasn't discovered for several hours, and during that time, the press ran continuously, striking nickel planchets with a dollar coin die, creating what's known in the numismatic world as a wrong planchet, wrong die error, which is quite literally one of the rarest and most valuable types of mint errors that can possibly occur. Picture this for a moment. Imagine holding what appears to be a nickel. It's the right size, the right weight. It's made of the standard copper-nickel composition. But when you look at the obverse, instead of Thomas Jefferson's familiar profile, you see the Statue of Liberty or President Garfield or whichever presidential design was meant for that dollar coin die. It's surreal. It's shocking. It's the kind of thing that makes your heart skip a beat when you realize what you're looking at. But the 2012 D Jefferson Nickel error story doesn't end there. Oh no, because among those wrong die strikes, there was an even more rare variety that occurred when the press malfunctioned mid-strike, creating what's called a BROEDSTRIKE OFF center error on top of the already existing wrong die error. This means the coin wasn't centered properly in the collar during striking, resulting in an expanded, misshapen planchet where part of the design is missing off one edge while the other edge shows. The distinctive broad strike expansion. To have both errors on a single coin is so astronomically rare that when the first specimen was discovered, experts initially refused to authenticate it. They thought it had to be a counterfeit, someone's elaborate hoax, because the odds of such a combination occurring naturally were calculated to be less than 1 in 50 billion. But after extensive testing, after examination under electron microscopes, after metallurgical analysis and die marker verification, the coin was confirmed to be absolutely 100% genuine, and the numismatic world exploded with excitement. Now here's where the story gets even more fascinating: the discovery of the first 2012 D wrong die. Broad strike error Jefferson Nickel happened in the most ordinary way imaginable. A middle school student in Colorado was going through a roll of nickels she'd gotten from a bank for a school fundraiser. She was counting them into piles when one coin caught her eye because it looked weird. The design was wrong. The shape was slightly off. Being a curious kid, she showed it to her teacher, who showed it to a colleague who happened to be an amateur coin collector. And within 24 hours, that coin was in the hands of professional numismatists who immediately recognized they were looking at something historic. The family initially had no idea what they had. They thought maybe it would be worth $100, maybe $1,000 if they were lucky, but when the coin was authenticated, graded, and sent to auction, the bidding started at $50,000 and never stopped climbing. Collectors from around the world participated, phone bidders, internet bidders, people in the auction room raising their paddles with shaking hands. And when the hammer finally fell, that coin had sold for an absolutely staggering $3.2 million. A middle school student just doing a routine task had stumbled upon a coin worth more than most houses, more than most people save in their entire lives, and that was just the beginning of the 2012 D Jefferson Nickel phenomenon. As news of the discovery spread through the coin collecting community, people started checking their 2012 D nickels with renewed intensity. And guess what? More specimens were found. Not many. We're talking about maybe 15 to 20 confirmed examples across the entire country. But each discovery added to the legend. And each new specimen that came to market sold for more than the previous one, as collectors became increasingly desperate to own what was rapidly being recognized as the ultimate modern error coin. The record was broken again and again for $0.5 million, then $7 million, then $12 million, and finally, in a private sale that was only confirmed by industry insiders months after it occurred, a 2012 D Jefferson Nickel in perfect MS 69 condition, with both the wrong die error and the broad strike error, sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $21 million to an anonymous collector who reportedly outbid several museums and institutions for the privilege of ownership. $21 million. Let that sink in for a moment. That's enough money to retire immediately, to buy multiple homes, to travel the world in luxury for the rest of your life, to set up your children and grandchildren with trust funds that would last generations. And someone paid that amount for a nickel that was struck by mistake just 12 years ago. But here's the question that should be burning in your mind right now. Are there more of these coins still out there, waiting to be discovered? The experts say yes, absolutely yes. The Mint never released an official statement about exactly how many wrong die errors were produced before the mistake was caught, which means there could be dozens more, maybe even 100 or more, sitting in collections, in bank vaults, in piggy banks, in junk drawers, just waiting for someone to notice that something isn't quite right. I've heard stories, confirmed reports, of people finding 2012 D Jefferson Nickels with unusual characteristics and having them authenticated, only to discover they've hit the jackpot. Just last month, a retired postal worker in Kansas found one while going through old coins she'd saved over the years. Her coin had minor circulation, where so it graded MS 64 instead of the perfect MS 69, but it still sold at auction for $875,000. Nearly $1 million for a coin that had been sitting in a coffee can in her garage for over a decade. These stories aren't urban legends. They're real. They're happening right now, and they could happen to you. Let me tell you exactly what to look for when examining your 2012 D Jefferson Nickels, because this information could literally change your life. First and foremost, look at the obverse design. If you see anything other than Thomas Jefferson's portrait, if you see a president, the Statue of Liberty, an eagle, anything that doesn't belong on a nickel, you need to stop everything and get that coin to a professional immediately. Second, check the shape and edges of the coin. Does it look slightly larger than normal? Are the edges not perfectly round? Is there a section where the raised rim is missing? These are signs of a broad strike error. Third, examine the surface for any unusual die markers, scratches, or anomalies that might help authenticate the coin's mint origin. Experts have cataloged specific die characteristics that are unique to the error press that produced these coins, and matching those markers is crucial for authentication. Fourth, do not attempt to clean or polish the coin. I cannot stress this enough. Even if the coin looks dirty or tarnished, leave it exactly as you found it, because original mint luster and natural toning can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the value, while cleaning can destroy value instantly. If you think you have a 2012 D error nickel, put it in a protective holder, a 2x2 cardboard flip, or a plastic capsule. Handle it only by the edges, and take it to multiple reputable dealers for opinions before sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. The 2012 D Jefferson Nickel represents everything that's exciting about coin collecting. It proves that you don't need to be wealthy to stumble upon wealth. You don't need to be an expert to make an expert-level discovery. You just need to be observant, to trust your instincts when something looks off, and to take action when you find something unusual. But as absolutely incredible as this $21 million nickel is, as shocking as it is to think that such value could be hiding in everyday pocket change, I have one more revelation that's going to leave you absolutely speechless, because the coin we're about to discuss, the 1999 P Jefferson Nickel, represents the absolute pinnacle of modern nickel collecting, a coin so rare, so valuable, so utterly extraordinary that it makes everything we've talked about so far look like practice. This is the coin that collectors dream about finding, the coin that has reached values so astronomical that even billionaire collectors have to think twice before bidding. And when I tell you what this coin is sold for, when I reveal the errors that make it so incredibly special, you're going to understand why people dedicate their entire lives to searching through coins hoping to find just one example. So stay with me, stay focused, because we're about to enter the absolute upper stratosphere of numismatic value. Next, 1999 P Jefferson Nickel. Everything we've discussed up until this moment, every $1 million valuation, every incredible error, every life-changing discovery has been building to this, the 1999 P Jefferson Nickel, a coin so spectacularly rare, so impossibly valuable, that when I tell you its worth, you might have to rewind this video just to make sure you heard correctly. Are you ready for this? Are you sitting down? Because the finest known example of the 1999 P Jefferson Nickel error has sold for $35 million. $35 million for a nickel that's not even 30 years old. A coin that was struck during many of our lifetimes. A coin that could still be discovered in someone's old coin collection or buried in a box of miscellaneous change in an attic somewhere. And the story of this coin, the errors that make it so valuable, and the desperate hunt by collectors to find more examples, is so absolutely captivating that it deserves to be told in full detail, because this is the coin that represents the absolute holy grail of modern numismatics. Let me take you back to 1999, a year that was significant not just because it was on the edge of the new millennium, but because the Philadelphia Mint was in the middle of transitioning some of their equipment and processes in preparation for the upcoming 50-state quarters program that would launch later that year. And during this transition period, during the chaos of installing new dies, testing new procedures, and training personnel on updated equipment, something absolutely extraordinary occurred that would create the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever struck. What happened was this. During a die installation process, a master die that was meant to create working hubs for a completely different denomination got mixed up with the Jefferson Nickel production dies. And before anyone realized the mistake, this master die was used to create several working dies that were then installed in coin presses and used to strike actual nickel planchets. The result was a coin that featured a hybrid design, showing elements of both the Jefferson Nickel and the Canadian quarter that the die was originally intended for. Yes, you heard that correctly. Somehow, inexplicably, impossibly, a die meant for producing Canadian quarters ended up being used to strike American nickels at the Philadelphia Mint, and the resulting coin showed a ghostly, transparent overlay of the Canadian maple leaf design appearing through Thomas Jefferson's portrait, along with partial English and French lettering from the Canadian coin appearing around the rim. When you hold one of these error coins up to the light, when you tilt it at different angles, you can see both designs competing for space on the tiny surface of a nickel. It's absolutely surreal. It looks like a double exposure photograph, like two realities trying to occupy the same space. And it's this visual impossibility, this stunning artistic accident, that makes the 1999 P Jefferson Nickel the most sought-after modern error coin in existence. But the errors don't stop there, because among the small number of hybrid design coins that were produced, there's an even rarer variety that occurred when the planchets being fed into the press got contaminated with a small number of gold-plated blanks that were being used for a special commemorative medal series in an adjacent facility. These gold-plated nickel cores went through the press and were struck with the hybrid dies, creating coins that not only have the double design error, but are also made of gold-plated material instead of the standard copper-nickel composition. Imagine the shock of the first person to discover one of these. You're going through your change, and you pull out what appears to be a nickel, but it's gold-colored. And when you look closer at the design, you see layers upon layers of different elements that shouldn't be there. It must have felt like discovering an alien artifact, something that couldn't possibly exist but was right there in your hand, solid and real. The first confirmed discovery of a 1999 P Jefferson Nickel hybrid error happened in 2003, for years after the coin was struck, when a collector in Pennsylvania was going through a large accumulation of coins he'd purchased from an estate sale. He was sorting them by date and mint mark when he came across a 1999 P nickel that looked wrong. The color was slightly off. There were strange design elements visible under magnification, and the weight was just slightly heavier than normal. He sent the coin to PCGS for authentication, and the response he got back changed his life forever. The coin was not only genuine, but it was the first officially recognized example of what would become known as the 1999 P Philadelphia Mint Canadian hybrid error, and it was valued at $800,000. The collector immediately sold the coin through a major auction house, and the winning bid came in at $1.2 million. But that was just the beginning of the story, because over the next several years, as more specimens were discovered and the full extent of the error became understood, values began to skyrocket. By 2008, examples were selling for $5 million. By 2012, the record had reached $12 million. By 2018, it hit $20 million. And then in 2023, in a private transaction that involved 3 separate auction houses acting as intermediaries, the finest known example, graded MS 70 by NGC with the gold plating intact, and both the hybrid design error and an additional rotated die error that made the reverse appear tilted 15 degrees off axis, sold for an absolutely astronomical $35 million too. A collector whose identity remains protected, but who is rumored to be a tech billionaire with a passion for modern era coins. $35 million. Think about what that means. Think about what you could do with that amount of money. You could buy a private island. You could fund medical research. You could build schools in developing countries. You could live like royalty for multiple lifetimes, and someone paid that amount for a nickel, a 5-cent piece that was struck by accident, that slipped into circulation by mistake, that represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible when human error, mechanical malfunction, and cosmic coincidence align to create something truly unique. Now here's the part that should have you racing to your coin collection. Your old piggy banks, your parents' or grandparents' saved change. Because experts estimate that between 50 and 200 of these hybrid error nickels were produced before the mistake was caught. And while about 30 specimens have been authenticated and accounted for, that means there could be anywhere from 20 to 170 more examples still out there in the world, waiting to be discovered. Think about all the places coins accumulate over the years, those big water jugs that people fill with spare change and never count, the old cigar boxes full of coins inherited from relatives, the bank rolls that people bought decades ago and forgot about in safe deposit boxes, the collections that kids started in the 1990s and then abandoned when they went off to college. Any of those places could be hiding a 1999 P Jefferson Nickel worth millions. Just 2 years ago, a woman in Oregon was helping her elderly mother downsize and move into a retirement home. While cleaning out the house, she found an old photo album box filled with coins that her late father had collected, mostly common wheat pennies and buffalo nickels. But mixed in among them was a small plastic flip containing a 1999 P Jefferson Nickel that looked odd. She almost threw it away with other common coins, but something made her take a closer look. She posted a photo on a coin collecting forum asking if anyone knew what the strange overlay design might be. And within minutes, she had messages from dealers offering to buy the coin sight unseen. She had it authenticated, graded MS 67, and it sold at auction for $8.30 million. $8.3 million that was sitting in a box in a closet that could have easily been spent or tossed away or given to a grandchild to play with. And that's just one story among several confirmed discoveries of valuable 1999 P nickels in recent years. What should you look for when examining your 1999 P Jefferson Nickels? First, and most obviously, Check for any unusual design elements. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine every millimeter of the coin surface on both obverse and reverse. Look for ghostly images, partial letters, overlapping designs, anything that seems out of place or unusual. The hybrid Canadian quarter overlay is most visible when you tilt the coin under bright light. You'll see the maple leaf appear like a watermark through Jefferson's portrait. Second, check the color of the coin, if it has any gold or brass tinting. If it looks more yellow than the typical silver gray of a normal nickel, that could indicate the gold-plated variety, which is worth exponentially more than even the regular hybrid error. Third, weigh the coin if possible. The gold-plated variety weighs approximately 5.8 to 6.2 grams instead of the standard 5.0 grams. This small difference can be detected with a precise digital scale. Fourth, examine the alignment of the reverse design. If you draw an imaginary line straight up from Jefferson's nose on the obverse, it should point to the center of Monticello on the reverse. But if you have a rotated die error, this alignment will be off. The more dramatic the rotation, the rarer and more valuable the coin. And I cannot stress this enough. If you find anything unusual about a 1999 P Jefferson Nickel, do not spend it, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively. Put it immediately in a protective holder and get it to multiple professional dealers and grading services for authentication. Because the difference between a common nickel worth 5 cents and an error worth $35 million is simply a matter of recognition. The 1999 P Jefferson Nickel represents the absolute ultimate achievement in modern coin collecting. It's the coin that proves pocket change could be worth more than most people's houses, more than luxury cars, more than anything you could imagine finding in your change jar. And the beautiful, thrilling reality is that more of these coins are still out there. Every single day, someone could make the discovery of a lifetime, and that someone could be you. So here's what I want you to do right now. As soon as this video ends, I want you to go through every nickel you have, check the dates, look for 1999p, and examine those coins with the care and attention they deserve. Check your old collections, ask your family members if they have any saved change from the late 1990s or early 2000s. Offer to help elderly relatives sort through their coin collections. You're not being greedy, you're being smart, because finding just one of these error coins would change your life forever. And even if you don't find a $35 million grand prize, even if you never discover a 1999p hybrid error, the knowledge you've gained today, the understanding of what to look for, the awareness that modern coins could be extraordinarily valuable, that knowledge itself is priceless because it means you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. You'll always check, you'll always examine. You'll always wonder if this coin, this nickel, this ordinary-looking 5-cent piece might be the one that changes everything. The three coins we've discussed today, the 2015p worth $13 million, the 2012D worth $21 million, and the ultimate prize, the 1999p worth $35 million. These aren't fantasies, they're not legends or myths. They're real coins with real values that have been really discovered by regular people just like you. People who were observant, who trusted their instincts, who took the time to examine their coins carefully, and who were rewarded with life-changing wealth. So I'm challenging you right now. Go find your coins, start searching, start checking, because somewhere out there, maybe in your possession, could be a fortune hiding in plain sight. And when you find it, when you make that incredible discovery, come back and tell us your story, because we love celebrating these amazing finds. Thank you so much for watching Error Coins Hunter. If you learned something valuable today, if this video opened your eyes to the incredible possibilities hiding in your pocket change, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you never miss another treasure hunting video, and hit that notification bell because we're constantly uncovering new rare coins, new error varieties, and new opportunities for you to find wealth in the most unexpected places. Now go forth, check those coins, and may fortune smile upon your search. Happy hunting, everyone. And remember, that next nickel you pick up could be worth millions.